Well, one person who can give us a few insights as to how the next 4 years could unfold is Sarah Palin, the former governor of Alaska and the 2008 Republican vice presidential nominee. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on Arabiya. I'd just like to start by asking you, Sarah, for your take on these first announcements and first decisions that we've been hearing from the second Trump presidency.
Well, yesterday, just an unprecedented series of actions by President Trump. He had promised these executive orders to undo the fundamental transformation of America that Obama and Biden had promised to do and had underway. President Trump believes in a fundamental restoration of America, all is good and free and prosperous and safe about our country. So what he did was yesterday already fulfilling promises that he had made. A lot of it, to me anyway, it was expected because he said he would do what he did with these executive orders. Unprecedented, very exciting. I think there's a lot of optimism, collective positivity in the air in America right now, knowing that, we're back.
And what did you make of the speech on Monday, Donald Trump's inaugural speech? I mean, as you say, it's a time, not everyone voted for Donald Trump by any means, but do you think that speech would have had the effect of unifying the nation?
I believe so, Tom, I do, because on Monday, I couldn't even keep up with the speech here. I was watching it at home, and it was one thing after another, that he was hitting on these points that, again, he had promised to do. You know what's rare about politicians in America? Perhaps all over the world, is they don't govern as they've campaigned. So this is kind of a newfangled thing on a national level. I think on a local level in politics, we're held accountable if you're a mayor, if you're a governor, positions that I've held, and you do have to govern as you campaigned. On a national level, you don't normally see that. But on Monday, there was such evidence of President Trump understanding that our expectation is, yes, you will govern as you campaign. That's why we put you there. America needed a revolution, again, so that we won't be fundamentally transformed into something that we don't even recognize in terms of country without borders and without safety and prosperity. So what Trump talked about on Monday, he had promised to do, and there is a restoration. This revolution that was needed, okay, we elected a revolutionary. He's going to do what he promised to do.
Was there anything he said or anything about the tone that you thought, oh, I'm not comfortable with that, or anything about it that you didn't like?
No, there was nothing about it that I did. Again, it was a lot of not unexpected points that he made. And Tom, again, that's really refreshing on a national level to hear a politician, and Trump is kind of the antithesis of a politician. He's a businessman, and that's what we need in this country right now too, is run this country understanding budgets, understanding how important it is to be held accountable when it comes to efficiency and effectiveness with our governing policies. And on Monday, Trump really made manifest a lot of his beliefs in how this country should be governed.
Yeah, I mean, just watching and listening to that inaugural speech on Capitol Hill on Monday, I mean, it must have been pretty unpleasant for the outgoing president to listen to. I mean, we heard President Trump really lambasting President Biden and his legacy and his administration. I mean, do you think part of MAGA, making America great again, is also to respect the Constitution, to respect things like a smooth transition, and also to respect this tradition that you have in America of a strong two-party system?
Well, thankfully, President Biden seems to be oblivious to criticisms, constructive criticism, things that are said around him and about him. And that's kind of a blessing that he seems to be numb, kind of callous to the idea of people holding him accountable. And that's what President Trump was doing on Monday. Now, those who have been holding the puppet strings and actually calling the shots, because we don't believe it's been Joe Biden who's been making many decisions at all the last 4 years, but those who are holding those puppet strings and pulling them and telling him what to say, Yeah, no doubt. They probably took umbrage to some of the things that President Trump was pointing out, but it's all in the name of holding people accountable. This is serious stuff. This is life and death stuff. Politics in America, national politics affects our daily lives. If we want a safe and secure and prosperous and sovereign nation, and that includes safe, secure borders, we needed to elect somebody who is very, very serious about fixing the problems that the last 4 years has created for us. So President Trump was just holding, not just Biden, but people around him, holding them accountable. And that's what we expected.
What about these plans we hear from President Trump to expand the territorial footprint of the United States, including perhaps the Panama Canal, Greenland, even making Canada the 51st state of the United States of America? Do you support plans like that?
Well, I support the discussion about all this. And, only Donald Trump, the only guy in the world, it seems like, could throw something out there and really spur a lot of constructive discussion about, how has America expanded in the past? People had to throw the idea out there and then explore the possibilities. And that's what President Trump is doing now. As for Canada, oh my gosh, I love Canada. They're my next door neighbor here in Alaska. Of course, we're in between Canada and Russia. And Canadians, they seem so much like Alaskans, hardcore, unpretentious, just really hardworking people. They have terrible governance under Trudeau right now. So I think a lot of Canadians who are of that ilk that really reflects a lot of America's values, they probably wouldn't mind seeing a change in territory. But no, I think President Trump is throwing that out there for discussion, educational purposes. I don't know if he's serious about actually annexing in other areas.
Okay, so perhaps he is just starting a conversation and he's not serious about territorial expansionism. What about the Gulf of Mexico? Should that change its name to the Gulf of America in your view as well?
Yeah, who would have thought of that? But that makes perfect sense. Yeah. And I saw a map this morning, Tom, looking online that already said Gulf of America. And it's like, well, yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, more power to Trump for even proposing such things, or those around him who are feeding him some of these ideas. I think it's brilliant. It shows America's our standing in the world again, in that, we want to be a beacon. We want to be a bright light. We want to be a nation that is so well run that other nations could look to emulate the good things about America. And that will make the world a better place, a safer place, a more prosperous place. So even, symbolically, these changes in names of things that President Trump is proposing, I think it's a source of empowerment of the American people, and I'm all for it.
We've heard President Trump talking about ending government diversity programs. He says there are only 2 genders. What's your reaction to that kind of discourse?
Well, I think President Trump is following the science, and there are only 2 genders. That's the way God created man and woman. And this DEI, this diversity, this kind of an entitlement mentality that has so bled into a lot of policies that have been running America and running our individual states and communities, it's just gotten in the way of efficiencies and efficacy and just good common sense policy. So Trump wants to undo a lot of that President Biden had ushered in, just so that gets taken off the table and we focus on accountability, efficiencies, those things that the people of America expect in governance.
Yeah, some saying all of this spells something of a blow to what people call woke culture. What do you say to that?
Yeah, it sure does. Thank the Lord it does. The woke culture is so out of control, as is the cancel culture. But again, just this loud minority of people who believe that, common sense should be an endangered species and get out of our policies and allow this wokeism, allow this things that just absolutely do not make sense. It's not common sense to take precedence over things that need to be done in order to run a nation to be more prosperous, more secure. Yeah, that wokeism just got way out of control. And I guarantee, Tom, it's the vast, vast majority of Americans who agree with me on this, that, just put that aside, put all that wokeism, turn down the volume on that, and let's just get to the business at hand that must be done. Let's secure these borders. Let's rein in our overspending, overreaching federal government budget that is bankrupting this country. We just got to get some things done, and wokeism, it got in the way.
Let's talk about President Trump's decision to pardon or commute the sentences of people involved in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. We've heard from the former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling this decision, quote, an outrageous insult to our justice system and the heroes who suffered physical scars and emotional trauma as they protected the Capitol, the Congress, and the Constitution. How do you feel about Pelosi's criticism and President Trump's decision here?
Oh, Nancy Pelosi, she's so dramatic. She's got to be so. She's partly to blame for the January 6th escapades that you saw. She had opportunity to call in the National Guard and to allow more security at the Capitol, and she refused to do so. And then, of course, wants to point the finger at Trump in particular as to blame for January 6th. No, as President Trump has said, those people in there, many unconstitutionally held without trial, without charges even against them, they've been in jail long enough. And yeah, there are murderers in this country who have had a lot less shorter prison time than these J6ers, is what we call them. And they've been political hostages in jail with no trials. Justice delayed is justice denied. They had been denied justice. And now finally with the pardons, we do see some justice. The pardons, though, that President Trump had undergone on just yesterday, nothing compared to Biden's 8,000 and some pardons, including his entire family, kind of backtracking on forgiving what it is that they've done. They've been a crime family. They've been conflicts of interest left and right. And that's how the Biden family for years and years has empowered themselves and gotten so wealthy. It's been a lot of corruption. And here, President Biden, he just gave this blanket pardon to his family members who were engaged in this. So no, the pardons that President Trump has engaged in, nothing compared to the 8,000 and some that Biden has. That's record setting.
Let's talk about something close to home for you in Alaska. I'd like to talk about the highest mountain in North America, known to some as Mount McKinley, known to others as Denali. Does it need to have its name changed? And if so, why?
It didn't need to have its name changed to start with. It's always been Mount McKinley and McKinley Park. And, I see it. I see that highest peak in the North American continent as I drive down the road to get to the store, to get to the schools. It's absolutely beautiful. We locals up here, and as former governor, we've always called it Mount McKinley. So when it was changed to Denali, for no reason, nobody was begging for a change in naming that peak. Well, it makes sense. Just put it back the way it was, more common sense. And again, there are so many other things that need to be focused on. So changing the name back to what it was from the beginning makes sense.
This might be a little bit more relevant to you than it is to other people in Alaska, because I understand the Secret Service used to refer to you as Denali. That was your code name, apparently. Tell me if I'm wrong. But if I am wrong, but anyway, tell us if you think people are going to be upset about this decision to change the name of the mountain.
I forgot about that. And that was my code name. I'm glad you reminded me of that, Tom. That harkens back to some good memories. Yeah, I was Denali. I have one niece named Denali, another niece named McKinley. And so up here, both names are very, very beautiful to us. And no, I don't think it's going to be controversial up here. It's just like, okay, get it done. Just get back to the way it was. It wasn't broke. Who tried to fix it by changing the name of a mountain? My goodness, I don't think anybody was even asking for it.
Drill, baby, drill. That's something we heard from Donald Trump the last couple of days. We also heard that from you back in 2008, since we're casting our minds back 16 years here in this conversation. You must feel quite flattered that President Trump is using exactly the same language you were using 16 years ago, Sarah?
Well, not really flattered, because I don't think anybody really remembers that I coined it. But yeah, drill, baby, drill. We need to. America has, oh man, God just dumped so many natural resources for responsible use of mankind right underfoot. We just need to drill it. We need to responsibly turn on the spigot and allow the people to benefit from responsible use of our natural resources. We do that by drilling, by producing, and by mining. It's ridiculous that America has to rely on China and foreign countries for minerals that we need to make our pharmaceuticals, to make so many products that touch our daily lives. When, again, we have the rare earths, we have the minerals. I like to say mine, baby, mine nowadays, because, that's as important as drill, baby, drill.
You took part in the Take Our Border Back rally on the southern border sometime last year, I believe it was. So I'm assuming you agree with President Trump that there is indeed an emergency on the southern border. Is that the case?
I do. There is an emergency. Look at the millions and millions of people who've come in to our country because of these porous borders. The very first act of these individuals was to break the law. If we are to be a civilization, a culture here in America that is one based on law and order, okay, you get punished then if you break the law as your first act. And it's not even punishment, it's just accountability. You got to go back. You got to get back in line, and you have to allow this immigration process to work legally and safely. We do not know who all these people are who've been allowed to, in fact, incentivize to come across our border. We're paying for people to come across our borders illegally. Makes no sense. And I know that President Trump had, as it seems like, his top priority to make sure our borders are safe. And he wants the personnel in place. He wants the infrastructure in place to make sure that a country like America is a country based on borders. If we don't have borders, we don't have a country. It makes no sense the way that it was running, and it was a dangerous place to be.
Yeah, he wants the military involved, doesn't he? Do you think the military should be involved in the mass deportations that President Trump's spoken about?
Well, when it comes to personnel, we kind of have no choice. That's where the numbers are in terms of personnel who are equipped and able to fulfill President Trump's promise in his campaign and now through executive order. If it takes military personnel, that's fine. I know it sounds scary to some people to hear, military involvement, but these are well-trained, equipped, law-abiding individuals who collectively will obey their commander-in-chief, as it should be, and the commander-in-chief wants our country safe, wants safe borders, secure borders, and wants to know who these people are coming into our country. They've been unvetted, Tom, through the COVID crisis. Remember all that. We had unvaccinated, I'm unvaccinated too, but unvaccinated, unvetted, some very ill people even coming on over, and we let them come on over illegally, and yet the residents, the citizens of America, were held to such account, having to abide by all these bureaucratic COVID rules that illegal aliens were not ever held account to.
Okay, I mean, the military could be involved in that. They could also be involved in helping to take back control of the Panama Canal. Is that something you'd want to see?
Yeah, and there again, President Trump is right in that there can be more efficiencies there in the Panama Canal, how it's run. America needs to get to that point of everything being efficient, everything being effective. Our budget is out of control because there is so much inefficiency in the way things are transported in and out, our imports and our exports. A lot of that has to do with the Panama Canal. President Trump wants that addressed.
Now, I'd like to ask you, I mean, it's being reported that you have hinted at wanting to be Donald Trump's vice president back in 2024. I mean, maybe that's just media speculation. But regardless, when you watch J.D. Vance swear the oath of office on Monday, did you feel a sort of a slight pang of envy and think to yourself, in a parallel universe, that could have been me?
Yeah, for about 2 seconds. And then I realized, there's a time and a season for everything. And JD Vance is going to be just fine there as President Trump's right-hand man, symbolically, if nothing else. No, that's good. But no, in my life, I've handed my life over to God. I'm a Christian, and I know that my life is not my home. If God can use me in whatever capacity, I hope He will. And that, my experience, my education, my administrative experience, especially, I don't want it to go to waste. I do want to serve, but in that specific role, nah, I had my chance, and well, Senator McCain and I, we got second out of two. So, had our chance.
Do you think Donald Trump might use you? Are you expecting a phone call perhaps in the days ahead? Could that be a possibility?
That's a great question. And I hope it happens. Because again, President Trump knows where I am. We have a good relationship. He knows that my administrative experience on a local level and a state level, and being chair of resources on a federal level to help with energy independence, he knows my area of expertise, and we need to tap into everyone who has an ability and a willingness to serve this country. I'm certainly willing and I'm able. I hope he calls me.
Yeah, because I mean, you've got a lot of interesting attributes on your CV. I mean, not least the fact you're a former beauty queen. You were Alaska's first female governor. You ran for vice president. You still attract a pretty strong crowd, I'm told. And I'm just wondering, why you don't have a role in the Trump presidency. Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got conservative Republican views that are probably pretty much aligned with those of Donald Trump. I mean, to the letter by the sounds of things.
And Tom, nobody's really asked me this before, so it's interesting that, I appreciate that you have the guts to ask me, because, I know that there's that question out there as to why I'm not tapped into yet. President Trump has around him some gatekeepers that have made it very difficult to I guess, ingratiate oneself into the idea of the agenda that must be ushered in for America. Tom, I'll tell you something that I haven't told too many people, and that's I couldn't even get credentials to get into the GOP convention this last year. Haven't been invited to things, and again, that's okay, because you kind of get used to that. I'm not going to say rejection, but you kind of get used to that redirection that is protection. I believe in God's timing. So, that redirection, it's protection. And I know that there will come a time where I believe I will be tapped into, if you will, and I'll be able to help. But the gatekeepers around President Trump, and there's only a couple of them who they didn't like the Tea Party idea, and I helped with that Tea Party all those years ago. They haven't liked the common sense constitutional conservatism agenda that I represent. And, I just hope that they won't steer President Trump in any kind of wrong direction, because it's not about me. It's about this country. It's about this world that needs America to be strong and prosperous, safe. And since it's not about me, I don't take it personal. But again, I hope gifts, talents, seasons, I hope everything comes into alignment and that I'm asked to serve.
I just want to press you on the issue of gatekeepers. I'm wondering, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm wondering if you're talking about Elon Musk. It is reported in some media circles that you have disagreed with him on one or two issues. I don't know if that's true. Do tell us what the case is, and what do you actually think of him?
No, I don't believe that it's Elon Musk who would personally try to keep me out of the gate. I think it's some bureaucrats around President Trump who, again, they didn't like me 20 years ago or 15 years ago or 10 years ago. So they don't like me now, and they're close to him, but not Elon Musk. And certainly I have disagreed with him on some policies, and even, some of the language that he's chosen to make his points. But I appreciate specifically what he has done with purchasing Twitter so that we take steps even closer to true freedom of expression, freedom of speech. We need our Bill of Rights, our constitutional rights. absolutely engaged in and protected. And with Elon Musk making such a huge investment in a format like Twitter, it has allowed that freedom of speech to be made manifest. We need that in the country. So I respect and appreciate what he's done there.
Okay, and just coming to the end now, I just want to ask you. I mean, Donald Trump has hailed the dawning of the golden age of the United States of America. Is that how it looks to you?
It does. Oh, I was just so excited yesterday, Tom. I was just excited for our country, for our world. Excited that, again, we will have someone in office who will govern as he campaigned, and the things that he campaigned on, common sense, constitutional conservatism. That's why President Trump was elected really in a landslide. He does have a mandate to do what he said he was going to do. And, I'm excited for that. And I like that term, too, the golden age of America. Yeah, may this just be next 4 years, years of jubilee, years of this golden age that Americans deserve, and the rest of the country deserves to see, again, as I said earlier, to see as a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, wishing to emulate, hopefully, the good things about America, our freedom.
Yeah, I mean, there was a real party atmosphere in Washington on Monday night. We've seen, not for the first time, President Trump doing a bit of dancing. I've got to ask you your opinion on that. What do you think of his dancing skills, Sarah?
I love it that he feels free enough to just let loose. I think that kind of endears him to a lot of Americans. Like, man, he's happy. Look at the hell the guy has gone through and his family has gone through. And finally, they get to stand up there, validated, vindicated. They know now that America has their back, and we're rooting for him to do the right thing. And this isn't about Donald Trump as an individual so much as it about what it is that he represents, this MAGA, this Make America Great Again. It's an agenda. It's a Trump train, a Trump movement that has his name on it, but it is collectively just a lot of Americans with a lot of common sense. We want government off our back, get it back on our side, smaller, smarter government, so that we can embrace and enjoy the freedoms that God gave us. Not man, not government, not Donald Trump even. He's in place now to protect our freedoms, but it's what he represents that we're so happy about. So yeah, when he dances, gosh, we join in, even if we're thousands of miles away, as I have been, while they've been celebrating there in DC. We kind of join in, at least emotionally, mentally we do.
Okay, well, if you do take up a position in the Trump administration, can we make a deal here and now that you will speak to Arabiya News again and tell us all about it?
I'll speak to you first, Tom, because you ask really, really good questions. And again, I get interviewed all the time, and you ask questions that nobody else has asked. So appreciate you guys very much. Of course I will.
All right. Well, thank you very much indeed. It's very flattering and great to have you with us. Thank you so much, Sarah Palin.
Thank you.